Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday morning. It's one of my favorite times of the week, and Dewey's too, because he's joined us just in time. He's going to get all comfy cozy because Dewey's especially excited for this Saturday stream because we have a very special guest on the show, and I feel like Dewey can sense the strong cat energy coming from this guest right now because I just had the pleasure of witnessing this guest have the sweetest freaking moment with this cat in the world, and it melted my heart. Guys, I have Coy on the show today. Oh, you have a
strong
pillow. It's a Spidey pillow. I need a Dewey pillow.
You do.
Where do you Where did you get that?
So Sheena got it for me, and whenever I travel, I bring this because I can't bring Spidey because I'm a crazy person. So this is travel Spidey.
You are talking to a crazy cat mom, so I don't think that's crazy at all. I think that's really sweet, and I kind of want one so I could do the same thing. But the difference is I feel like you could pack a lot lighter than I could, so there legit would not be any room if I'm taking an overhead suitcase.
It's not too big, and also if need be, it's your flight pillow. Just don't get it dirty because you got to respect the cat pillow.
Yeah. I would be nervous about that.
This is what comes with me. I traveled 11 of the 12 months last year, so I needed to bring Spidey as much as I could.
Oh my God, you really did.
11. I literally turned down a trip at the end of the year because I was like, I need to get my world together, and now we'll never travel again.
Don't say that. We'll travel eventually, but we know what we have to wait for. We have to wait for a vaccine to get that real feeling of safety. Had you done any traveling in 2020, or did you go out and go really big in any respect? And you're like, at the time, you're like, I went too big, but now looking back that we can't go out again, you're like, thank God I did that.
I was in Hawaii when this all started, which is known for its flu season, which everyone was starting to get. So people were thinking the flu they were getting was COVID. I was flying in February, so I had to go through an airport just as paranoia was ramping up. And then the way I found out the actual depth of how bad this was I was on a red carpet on March 11th. The last red carpet I think LA had.
What red carpet was that?
It was Big Brother's 20-year celebration.
I did not know you covered that.
I was there as a guest. I was friends with the guy that hosts Big Brother. The guy that hosts Big Brother, we and him have the same manager. So the Chris, whatever, the Big Brother guy. We have the same team. So I was there as special guest Coy Jandreau, on the carpet walking it, not covering it. And then at the end of the carpet, when we got to the end, they were like, Tom Hanks has coronavirus. We were like, what? And then by the end of the event, they were like, the NBA's been canceled. And I was like, I'm around 300 people that all flew in to this event. Oh no, one of the Big Brothers apparently came down with it, but he wasn't there. So one of the guys that wasn't there was and he's fine. He tested.
God.
He tested. Now he's okay. So I feel like I'm not speaking out of class, but it was all public. This isn't me being that asshole. But it was so scary to be at an event being I don't want to be near any, and they were all super kind, but it was really funny because everyone there, it was like a Cloverfield scene. Everyone there was just too pretty, and so everything felt like it was scripted. I was looking around, everybody's having these intelligent conversations being too pretty, and I was like, I don't like this movie at all. I've had a crazy quarantine now.
Wow, I totally forgot you went to Hawaii because you went to Amazing Con Aloha.
Yeah, Amazing Comic-Con Aloha was.
Yeah, I mix up all the names too because I feel like it's not the same order for their Vegas edition.
That's where this photo from today's show came from.
And the thing was, we had known each other before that trip, but that was our first official hang time, and that was the greatest. I could not have asked for two better people to just be alone on that trip with.
The video of us, the vlog you made of us chasing down the car in Jurassic Park, I knew you were the Jurassic Park, that's your Spider-Man, but I don't think you realized how big a Jurassic Park fan I was until we were there. So then we're at Jurassic Park both freaking out and so excited.
It was so nice to have someone there that really felt my love, the intense love I have for that brand.
We get to talk to most people that would make people freak out, but once we get to know them, it's not less exciting, but it's different. And I feel like you and I do our jobs, so we're not But then the log at Jurassic Park, we didn't have to be chill. Like, we didn't have to be like, yo, they're just people. We were like, that log is fucking history.
That was the most starstruck I've been in a long time, is when I saw the log from Jurassic Park.
And it was amazing because we both got to not chill. Like, we both didn't have to pretend.
Oh my God. All right, guys. So I see you all in the live chat right now. We've got Rick Morris, of course. We've got a double dose of Stevens in here. I see you, Wessel, Christy, of course. Hello, everyone. You guys know how this works. We're going to take your live questions all throughout the show. So start sending them on in right now. But Coy and I have picked a topic to talk about right now, because I would say one of the hottest things circulating the web this week is probably all the behind the scenes stuff from Mad Max Fury Road. And Coy, I know you have a lot of feelings about that property. Can you run people through your history with that particular movie?
So I grew up watching Lethal Weapon. Lethal Weapon was my entire childhood. Every single Christmas, we would watch one, if not three, Lethal Weapons. It was tradition. So Mel Gibson was big in our house. Maverick was on all the time. What Women Want was on all the time. And of course, Mad Max was on all the time, because I'm a car guy. A lot of people don't know the Fast and the Furious movies were almost as big as an impact to me as the Marvel films, but I don't get like to work on them as often. I bought a 1995 Honda Civic at 15 and worked on it for 9 months until I got my license.
So wait, pause. Do you know how to change a tire? I
do, but not as well as I know how to install a stereo.
That wasn't as confident as I would have liked, because there was a tire popping incident recently, and I desperately needed help changing my tire. And thankfully, there was a mighty kind stranger who walked by and helped me. But I need, just in case this happens again, I need someone to call.
I'll be like, I'm able to help, but I definitely won't be like with gumption. I'll be there to help. So
if also be like, if I call you, I need to call you like a partner, so you could do it together, and I can just stand there and watch.
Batman and Robin.
Okay. Totally fine.
So car guy growing up, Mel Gibson guy growing up, Mad Max was obviously huge in my life. And then when I was young, I went through IMDb, and I was a young actor. I was working more in Boston as an actor before I became a host and a stunt guy over here. So I was working a decent amount over in Boston. But as a young actor, I was like, I'm going to add everyone that's an actor on MySpace. You heard me, MySpace. So I went through, and my birthday is September 15th, which is also Tom Hardy's birthday. So I added everyone that had my birthday that would add me back. And of course, Tom Hardy and I were MySpace friends, because the world's normal. So this guy, Tom Hardy, I love koi cars.
Just in case.
Tom Hardy is I think it was Bronson. He was working on Bronson when we were MySpace friends.
Early days.
So like not long after that was like he started to be like this huge star. Like he had a meteoric rise. So I was like, there's this unknown actor that's going to be huge, and he's going to play Mel Gibson's part in Mad Max. And this was like 2010. So I'm like tracking this movie. I'm super excited, and I love the originals. I love everything about what they're building. I'm like super excited for the property and all of its pieces. And then it gets shut down 6 times. And I'm following every one of these, like delayed 2 years, delayed 3 years. I'd seen previs on the cars. I knew somewhat of I mean, I couldn't know the scale because no one did, but I knew like they were trying to do a story that they had originally gotten Mel Gibson to sign on to back before Tom Hardy was even Tom Hardy. Mel Gibson was attached, I think in 1997 to Fury Road. So the script's been around forever, most of my life. And then it finally came out, and it lived up to my 15-year expectations.
Wait, was Tom Hardy via MySpace feeding you some of this information?
Tom Hardy was occasionally posting like right before he got it. So I knew, like, I didn't get like sneaky photos, but I knew that he was going to go film something. And then I'd be like, I will go on like LimeWire and download bootleg photos.
Oh God.
Because like LimeWire used to be good for sneaky piracy.
Really? Oh, was LimeWire a legal thing to even be using? Yeah, I was only using LimeWire for like the most basic level of, I guess, stealing music. As a kid.
Yeah, it was music, but there was also video for porn, and you can get like movie photos and stuff.
Really? I almost wish I could like turn back time and at least just experience what that might have been like when I was a kid, because I was using LimeWire and Napster just for music.
I was on Kazaa an awful lot.
Kazaa. I remember Kazaa too. Oh my god.
But I hate paparazzi photos and I hate leaked stuff, so I never shared it. But I selfishly I would go like, that's cool, delete.
Okay, no, I can kind of understand that as long as you draw the line at sharing it. But I understand, when you're a huge fan, the desire to like want it and keep it for yourself and just look at it.
Yeah, like I had tons of folders that I would be like, no one can ever see this, and it was not like the usual stuff teenagers have saved in their computer. It was like car photos from sets.
I love how that was your thing. So what was it like when you read this piece with all the behind the scenes information? Did anything really surprise you, or were you following the process enough to know that they're basically in these quotes just reinforcing stuff you already knew about the production?
What was cool about this was it was stuff that I knew like half of. So like I hear it got shut down, but I wouldn't know it was because of blank. So it was all of my teen angst at the thing not going forward, having an answer finally. Like it was solving, you know, when like your parents say like, hey, it's just we can't do that thing, and then you grow up and you're like, it's because they had a cold. Like you just realize the answers to like, you know, life's mysteries. This was that on a movie scale. Like in 2012 when they couldn't film in that desert, I didn't know it was because of war. And then reading this thing, I was like, oh, well, I can't be mad at that thing that happened.
It's just incredible how, like, I still can't get over how much that movie went through and how well it all turned out, because we're constantly talking about that with any movie. And obviously the first one that's coming to my mind right now is New Mutants, because of all the crap that's been through. But could you imagine if New Mutants comes out and it's actually really good? After everything
it's gonna be good.
I mean, it could feel like another Mad Max-ish type of run.
Well, the thing about New Mutants is like all of its things aren't its fault. It hasn't been delayed because they didn't finish in time. Like all the things you look for as red herrings it hasn't had, it's just been cursed at a release. It's all post-production problems. That poor movie's just gotten like, here's a release date. Sorry, there was a plague.
Well, yeah, I try to figure out what the deal would have been earlier on, like if they had just let Josh Boone do his own thing or not. Like I want to know what that would look like versus what the, you know, the semi-meddled in version is going to be. But I don't know. He's just a director that I trust, and I feel like most of the comments that he's made about that movie suggest to me that it's still something that like was his to a degree.
I heard there were way less reshoots than people said. I heard that the movie was pretty much put together the way they wanted. Also, they were like, we couldn't have reshot it 2 years later because we were filming with children, and you'd notice. And when they said that, I was like, you don't say, because Stranger Things, I noticed it. I really noticed. So, like, I think I would notice the New Mutants as well.
They really need to release more tell-all books. Like, and I'm not just saying it as someone who is, like, greedy for the behind-the-scenes, like, stories and drama and everything, but, like, hearing, like, the stuff that's in that piece about Mad Max Fury Road, hearing some of those stories from the actor perspective, another actor out there or another filmmaker in any capacity could read that and understand the difficulty a co-star might be going through that maybe they weren't aware of. It's like the stuff that Tom Hardy was saying about him now being in a place where he has matured, where he could have been a more supportive co-star for Charlize. I don't know, like that type of thing should be made more readily available for all budding filmmakers so they could learn from it.
Well, what you just said about New Mutants, like that is a perfect example of like, let's not look at additional photography or schedule delays or things that are out of the filmmaker's control as necessarily their problem. Like you just compared it to a modern example of, yes, exactly this, so stop giving it bad press. Imagine if the modern internet was around when Mad Max was getting made. It would be like, oh, this bullshit actor stars in 5 movies and thinks he's Mel Gibson. Oh, blah, 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 this 90-year-old director. Like, the amount of toxicity and asshole internet people about movies would have sank that expectation. Instead, we got to watch that movie in 2015 when internet journalism was just a twinkle in the current mind's eye of what it was going to be. And now there's so much more animosity. That movie might not have been as well regarded because there'd be so much hate about the delays. Like, I think that there can be movies that have problems that don't turn out well. Like, you know, sometimes sometimes it doesn't make sense to finish that movie in under 2 hours and put it all together and hope that you're going to release a later cut. But sometimes you do get movies that when you release them in their 7-year to 15-year buildup, they've earned that release, and then it's one of the best action movies of all time.
I was about to say that I think that even if this Mad Max Fury Road was around during the time of like everybody talking about everything on the internet, that it still would have been okay. But then I just started thinking about the Scoob review that I just posted. So I was going to originally say, I'm like, well, it's not Marvel or Star Wars or DC, so people wouldn't get that crazy about it. But there are some people that are like legit mad at me because I didn't love the new Scoob movie, and they're super passionate Scooby-Doo fans. So it's just like, I don't know, everyone's got their thing and they're super intense about it. And even last night on the Merry Hour stream, I was talking to Matt Donato, and we were just debating Alita, Battle Angel. And
not safe territory.
Matt doesn't like it as much as I do, and he got some shit for it. So, you know, it's everything out there, and everyone's just so vocal about their fandom right now, which I think is a good thing, as long as everybody's, you know, doing it within reason and not targeting anyone with unwarranted hate.
Well, and Mad Max was not the first Mad Max, it was the fourth. So you'd have the same problem like the Star Wars fans had, like the loyalists coming back and, you know, can the director hack it again and all these things. Like I'm glad that Mad Max came out exactly when it did, because I could easily see some of the kickback that Star Wars went through. Mad Max is a near perfect film, but that doesn't mean people aren't too dumb to comment on the things that like aren't involving the movie.
I'm not even a big Mad Max franchise fan, or at least I wasn't. So I didn't give a shit about Mad Max Fury Road when it was coming out. I'm just like whatever, I'll see it just because I cover the industry. I admire a lot of the people working on it. Then when the San Diego Comic-Con thing happened, like that is hands down one of my favorite SDCC moments of all time, because it completely changed the tone of that conversation. And also, like, I felt it personally. It basically went from making Mad Max Fury Road something that was just like casually on my to-do list because I work in the industry, to something that spiked to the very top. And that movie wound up being my #1 movie of 2015.
And that's why I think people should be less, once again, rabid fans, maybe less aggressive about what movies come to Comic-Con, because it's genre content. It's something that affected your experience that you personally, as a film journalist, might not have had the same experience of. Mad Max is not based on a comic. There are things that belong at Comic-Con. Like, I love that Top Gun showed up because it's a San Diego love letter. Top Gun is so important to the city that Comic-Con's in. Mm-hmm. But people were like, Tom Cruise at Comic-Con is the same as Twilight. I'm like, y'all, like, you got too much time in your hands. Learn a hobby.
I feel like folks who are big into comics might not appreciate this, but I feel like San Diego Comic-Con has become more of like a San Diego fan con. Like any brand, no matter what the medium, that has a really passionate fan base behind it, I think that's all that it needs to be worthy of having some time in Ballroom 20, Hall H, you name it. As long as there's fandom who wants to be together and celebrate that thing that they love so much together, that's all you need to open that door.
I see Comic-Con like the movie theater industry. The Marvel films, the DC films, the big genre films of any kind do keep the movie theaters open. And that's really important for the indie films and for the smaller films. So if Comic-Con needs to have giant tentpole pop culture events in order to have the thing exist in a 4-day scale, then I don't mind, as long as the integrity of having some comics is there, then I'm in.
Well, yeah, you just have to respect all the tiers, because it's like, yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a big non-comic brand that was there and brought. I mean, all right, you could say a book to film adaptation with the Twilight series. I mean, because that was the time where the whole nature of what San Diego Comic-Con was totally shifting. Sure. So it's like you have something really, really big like that, and I don't even think it's just a money thing. Again, I think it's a fandom thing. I think any kind of convention like that is just like that's the only way to bring people from all across the country, all throughout the world together to celebrate that one thing that they love so much. It's just a matter of making sure that there are different tiers that are accessible to different properties. It's like, I would never want San Diego Comic-Con to bring in the Twilight, Mad Max Fury Roads, the Jurassic movies, whatever they choose, and have that space completely push out the little guys, because a convention is also a place for discovery. And sometimes you know, those little production companies don't have the big budgets to make a lot of noise, but just having everybody in that one place and filter into a smaller room, that could lead someone to discover a property they never knew existed before.
Totally agree. And I think that's the beauty of these cons. It's the passion that is the benefit and the curse of their existence, because the same people that are discovering new stuff are the same ones that are mad, but they don't see that they don't remember discovering something new when they're like mad at being the Hall H lines. And at the end of the day, there's nowhere for Twilight to go. There wasn't an infrastructure for a book con that'd be big enough for those actors to go. So I don't get mad at the Twilight people. I just think people need to look at it with a different perspective.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because like even the two of us, we're coming at it from different perspectives. It's like you were in the comic book game and I was never a part of that. I came at it from the movie. Like we're coming at the same event from two different perspectives.
And I grew up in the Radisson basement Comic-Con circuit. Like I worked literally in basements at cons before as a kid, and now it's this giant infrastructure. So it's not like I'm not 60, but it's not like I don't know where we came from with Comic Cons, but I can appreciate the growth being a benefit to everybody. Without Comic Cons being as big as they are, we wouldn't have a $3 billion in-game movie. And without Twilight going to Comic Con, it might not have gotten that big. So I'm going to give Twilight a little bit of credit for helping the con, which helped the end game. So I respect those sparkly fucks.
Did you ever watch True Life on MTV?
I did a little, yeah.
Did you ever see that episode where the father and son dress as stormtroopers and go to a Star Wars convention together? It's like I loved that show, but I grew up like dreaming of going to a convention, but never having anybody to go to a convention with because of that episode. I always wanted to go.
That is beautiful.
I never did. And the thing is, it's like looking back now that I'm an adult, it's like if I had asked my dad to go with me, he would have gone in a heartbeat and he would have loved it. I think I just wasn't in a place where like I wanted to ask to do that. I guess I was a little afraid.
You know, Amy Downs still hasn't been in Hall H.
Yeah, because we discussed this on the panel.
Oh yeah, that was only last Comic-Con. Oh my god, that was less than a year ago.
Isn't that weird to think that was only the last one? But it was very upsetting to me when
it like said that. I think about it all the time. Like it affected me.
I need her to get in that room.
Like even if there's no Comic-Con this year, I want to kidnap Amy and bring her to Hall H. And frankly,
just all alone, just have her stand in Hall H for a little while.
Just understand the space, Amy. Just feel it. Just feel the space.
Can I ask you something with what's going on right now and how it's affecting cons? Have you participated in any of the virtual comic conventions that have been going on?
I've done some virtual help for creators for comics, so I haven't done the con situation, but I've done virtual conversations with comic folk. I feel like I'm not on any of the virtual cons lists for whatever reason, which has been really weird because I'm like, hello, I'm a comic book expert and moderator, and I'm right over here. So when they call, I'm around, but I haven't, I've talked to the people that are doing them on the moderating side, but about other stuff.
What do you think about the format of them in general? Like what's like, what if we have to be like this for a good while longer? What are those things doing well to support the industry? And what's something that's missing that you think they need to add to, I don't know, give some sort of sector in that business a boost?
I would add more interactivity with shopping. Like I want to have a virtual artist alley where I could walk down the artist alley and like pick stuff. And that would be as simple as not like VR. I mean, VR would be dope, but we're not there yet. But it'd be as simple as like having a map, click over to it, you engage in that person's booth, and then you've got like their Etsy shop right underneath. Like I think it's a multi-screen option to have you feel like you're at a booth. And I feel like we're not doing enough to sell like the art or the infrastructure, and then making the conversations feel bigger by having the guests a little more off leash. Like if you've got, they've all felt we're very safe, and that doesn't feel like con. You know what I mean? It feels like oh, I am taking business conversation, robot.
Well, I mean, there's a little of that out there. And I also feel like sometimes that comes down to the amount of time you have also. It's like, you know, I do those junket interviews all the time. You're not going to have the same kind of conversation in 4 minutes than you can with a 30-minute one-on-one. It's just not possible.
Unless you walk in and swear at Samuel L. Jackson. That's my trick.
You have the magic. I do know that.
I am not a big junket guy because 4 minutes is the opposite of like, I love long form. That's my thing. So it's really hard when they're like, hey, everything you want to talk about, you've got less than the time it takes you to get through your first question. Go. And like,
it's not easy.
So I go the other way, and it's an art. Like the what you do is such a different art than long form, and long form is such a different art than that. And I think it takes a certain kind of brain. Like I'm always so flabbergasted and impressed with your 4-minute junket interviews. Like truly, they're next level. Because my brain is like, wait, we're done now?
I appreciate you saying that because I literally have the same conversation with Thad every single time I do a junket. I tell him like it sucked. I didn't use the time right. I didn't phrase my question right and it ruined everything. And then he'll be like, no, it's fine. And he'll edit it together and then I'll get the final thing back. I'm like, oh, like, that was not bad.
Yeah, every time. I literally, and it's always like when you're flying back, like you're on the plane, like they're never going to send me anywhere again. And like you haven't seen the footage yet. So you're like, I ruined a trip to New York. Who do I think I am?
There is, okay, I'm not going to name names, but there is one instance where I think that did happen to me though. I moderated a Q&A for a specific organization and I thought it was going well for the most part, but then we got to a couple of questions, a lot of my go-to questions that I suspect were too hard for the talent. And I understand that. Sometimes, you know, when you're going out and you're promoting a movie, sometimes you like those softball questions in order to be able to give people the basics, but sometimes other folks like to be challenged with new questions that challenge them to think. And I think I was just with a group that didn't want the hard questions and I walked away and I'm like, they're not going to have me back. And they haven't had me back since.
See, that's the difference between a 4-minute and a long form interview. You get a read for the person in phase 2 of the interview. I like phase 2 and 3 of the interview because that first part of any interview feels like a first date. There's always that like, well, we're both here and I guess we're supposed to enjoy this. Hope it gets better later. And then it's over.
To be fair, this one that I'm complaining about it was probably like a 20-minute conversation, but it was a 1-on-4.
Oh, that's hard.
Like, you know, those can be challenging just to get the vibe right at the beginning so that you have like a conversation that involves everybody. And, you know, also when you're doing ones like that, you never know unless you've met the people before. But like in this case, I hadn't. You never know if you're going to be able to ask a question and they're going to be able to banter back and forth, or it's a situation where you got to be like person A, this for you, person B, this for you. It changes every time. I try to use a formula and it never works.
Oh, there can't be a formula. Studios are like, this is your objective. The people you're working for, like, this is your objective. The actors are like, what's your objective? My thing is hard because I was an actor who'd been on red carpets who received those questions, and I always liked the more long form. So I always like to actually talk. So it's really hard for me to be like, I know how much this sucks for you, but I have to do it for you because that lady's going to yell at me in 30 seconds.
Yeah. I can't figure out what I would like most on that side, you know, because on the one hand, I guess I would feel like, you know, how I like to prepare and I have my notes and everything. So on the one hand, I would like to be asked about things that I was prepped for, but I feel like if that's what I chose, I would get asked the same question over and over and over again to the point that I don't know, it would like suck the life out of what I was talking about. So I wouldn't want that.
And I know some actors that literally make up new stories every time. Like if you get the same question, they'll just say different shit and you can like find like, you know, my buddy Tony, who played Flash, he hurt his arm, Tony Revolori.
Oh yeah.
He hurt his arm and he had to go do a red carpet with a cast. So every single person asked him about it. He gave a different answer. And last I knew, he was editing together a compilation of all of his different answers on one carpet for how he hurt his arm. And like, that's what I feel like a junket is. I
would be a little pissed if he made up a bullshit story if I asked him that question, because I would take it personally, but it is very, very funny.
Of course everyone's going to ask. You've got a cast on a carpet. Like, you can't not. Like, you see a friend walking on crutches, you're like, bro.
Well, it's like, even with these, so they've completely overhauled the junket experience where you're going to a hotel and they've reformatted it for Zoom. And when you pop into the celebrity Zoom room, I mean, it's just like, it feels like proper conversational etiquette for me to at least start by saying like, how are you doing? Are you having a good day kind of thing?
Yeah,
and not,
but that's part of your time.
But it's part of my time. So it's like now I'm losing like 20 seconds every time. Like I should just like slate my name and go to my question. But then
And that's what I hate is the fact that I'm supposed to be a robot. Like you and I work very hard. Like you and I, people don't realize that hosting, okay, brief diatribe. I hate the fact that in this town, 1 out of like 3 hosts actually wants to be a host, and 2 out of 3 are just trying to build up their social media or be a fucking actor. Like it's not about the art of hosting, and they're just trying to get their face out there or whatever the fuck they're doing. Whereas like we're doing this because this is what we want to do. So I hate the fact that we've worked to such a level to get in that room, and the moment we're in that room, we sit in that chair and we're on a clock that's dying. And I get why, but at the same time, we then have built up a week's worth of like questions and all of our stuff to get less than the 3 minutes we were told we were going to get. And then we're going to be uncomfortable. And then we might have had a bad time because they just had a bad meal, or because they're like, that's not a conversation that we've worked our fucking 10 years for.
There's so many wonderful, but so many frustrating aspects of that whole process. But it's like, for the most part, I would say 99% of the time, it's like simple human errors and challenges. It's like, because like I get like that when I think that I am most productive during the day before I eat lunch. And then right after I eat lunch, I like turn off a little bit.
Yeah.
But you can't not eat lunch because you're going to turn off a little. And also the fine folks at the companies that run these junkets, like it is their job to get all of those outlets in within the block of time that they are given by the task. So it's like everybody has a job to do, and their job can sometimes make somebody else's job more challenging. But like,
and that's what I mean. We're all losing from the moment we're in that seat. The person that, if we're over by 15 seconds, is going to get in trouble, and then the studio will get mad at them, and then the actor, like, no matter what, you're in a lose-lose scenario, and then you get the footage back, and you're like, guess that was better than I thought. But that's the difference in you and me is like, you're good, in my opinion. You're very good at that, whereas for example, I had a 10-minute sit-down with 2 directors that I love.
Okay.
And they were producing a film, and it was about this new film, but they direct other movies that are my specificity, these brothers. And so we did a 10-minute sit-down, and I stayed on target. I only asked 1 Marvel question. And at the end, they were like, hey, thank you so much for staying with this movie. Like, it's been really hard to not talk about everything else. We know you're a Marvel guy. Like, we really appreciate you, blah, blah, blah. Let's do a sit-down and actually talk about the movies. We'll come to the studio, blah, blah, blah. And, like, they even knew that I was struggling, and then the world stopped. So I've got this, like, this will happen later because of me doing my job the way they wanted. But that even at the peak of that going well, that won't matter because that'll never happen now.
Why don't you try reaching out to set up a virtual one?
I always forget that that's even an option.
Yeah.
I have such imposter syndrome.
I will say, like, you know me, I like to have my face-to-face conversations, and I'm really, when the time is right, I cannot wait to get back into a room with you or a filmmaker out there and just be able to have an in-person conversation. But I will say some of these long format ones that I've been doing virtually have been great because I don't know, it feels so private and intimate, and I have more time, and we have an opportunity to build up a rapport before asking the tougher questions, and I feel like I'm getting better answers, and I don't know. I want it to go back to how it was before, but I'm not bummed by what I have to do right now. Like, I still think there's great opportunity in this format, and I'm enjoying it.
I can see where I'll get used to it. I definitely I think of myself as being horrible with technology. So there's an inherent, it's like the 4-minute thing. I'm like, I've already made a mistake, so it's going to get worse. And like, that's not a good way to go to any situation.
Coy, you would be the worst golfer.
Oh God.
You're too, because like I'm already 2 in my head to play golf. But like the way that you just expressed that, it's like that reminds me immediately of how I feel when I get up to the first tee and I mess up that first tee shot. And I'm like, well, there goes my entire round.
I meditate twice a day and work out between an hour and 2 hours a day just to get out of my head. And I'm still this in my head. Me golfing would be like, it'd be worse than Caddyshack. I would get distracted by every gopher.
I think that when I get back to LA, we should do a golf vlog just to see what happens. Okay.
Only if I can wear like a red Tiger Woods shirt and make it about that. Like I will find any way to be like, let me not show how bad I'm at golfing, but look how funny this reference is.
Please, let's do that. All right, we have some super chat questions that I've been keeping an eye on that we have to get to. Here's one from Louie, who wants to know, what do you think of Disney's strategy on the New Mutants release date? Do you think it'll stick, or it's going to get pushed back to the 6th time? Wow, Louie's been counting sixth time. That sounds about right, though. I don't think it's going to stick. I'm very concerned about getting back out there too quickly and having a spike in cases. So I'm worried about that. And I'm also concerned about that second wave they're talking about in the fall. And I'm just fearful that even if we can get back to movie theaters by August, I have a feeling that those theaters are going to be operating with severe restrictions that will not give movies opportunities to earn enough money just because you can only fill it to, I'm just making this number up, but half capacity. So I think things are just going to keep moving.
I haven't seen a single when we reopen logistic that didn't involve half capacity restaurants and theaters. And if you look at Blockbuster's 15 to 20% of their overall profit at the end is LA and New York based, and we're not gonna reopen fully, even if other places do. So if you're looking at a 15 to 20% drop off of 50%, that's like what, 7.5 to 10% off the top you're gonna lose. You wouldn't release Tenet in July or New Mutants in August with those numbers. And I'm pretty sure all the actors and the director have a theatrical clause in their New Mutants contract. So I don't think this is coming to Disney Plus, and I think that's a good thing. I think as soon as we start letting things come straight to VOD, that's the death of the movie theater, and I won't let that happen. Like I'm fighting tooth and nail for no VOD releases. I think Trolls fucked a lot of people over.
I'm so torn on the situation because, it's kind of like how we were describing the junket scene where everybody has a job to do and everyone has to, fight to do their job well and stay alive. And that's kind of what these companies are doing. It's like even big studios like Universal, they have to be putting product out in order to make money. And I think there's proper etiquette. There's a good way to go about that so that you don't burn any bridges in the process. And maybe they didn't do that with Trolls, but I do understand the choice to at least pick a select few to release on PVOD and skip the theatrical experience right now.
I totally agree. Like I'm not mad at King of Staten Island. I think that made sense. I think they communicated. I think they gave them like a 6-week window, whereas Trolls was like day and date VOD and theater. Oops, there's no theaters. And then 2 weeks later they bragged about it. Like not only did they do the thing, then they were like, oh, by the way, look at our numbers. It took us 5 months to get a theatrical, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, guys, don't rub it in.
Do you feel differently about Scoob?
Yeah, because I feel like Scoob did the King of Staten Island thing. They were upfront about their concern about movie theaters. They then released it. They also celebrated it, and they also communicated that like they still respect the theater. Like now studios are like, hey, we still love the theatrical window, but the problem with Trolls was the timing. It was too soon into this. They didn't have the chance to be like, hey, we're sorry, but they were just like, by the way.
Oh, it was quick, and it was also all the information and the official quotes that were given after the fact, where it's like, we made this much money, we exceeded our financial expectations, this is great, let's put more priority here instead of on maintaining our theatrical relationship. So,
and people are already wanting to shit on theaters because of people talking and because of the cost. Like theaters are already backed into a corner. The last thing we need is studios who need the theater also shitting on the theater.
All right, moving down. We have Nate Dogs 212 who says, always love your interviews. That I say this a lot, and I hope people know how genuine I am. But like whenever somebody says to me, you did a good interview, like I'm like up to my eyeballs in thankfulness and love and warmth and happiness. I really think that my favorite part of this job is doing interviews and just talking to people about the cool thing that they made. And I don't know. Like I could do this all freaking day long.
Oh, exact same. What was your moment of aha with hosting, with interviewing specifically?
With interviewing? That's a really good question. That's a really good question that I can't.
It's like we talk to people for a living.
No, because like this is the type of shit that I would ask someone. It's like, because I even asked Lauren Lapkus on Ladies Night, I'm like, what is the moment where you realized you had a knack for this? Wow. I do remember some of my first junkets. I think one of my very first on-camera junkets was for Silent House. And I was just very happy doing that. I'm trying to think of like the moment where I kind of like hit my stride. I actually don't have a good answer for this. I think it's because my interviewing experience was done in such different phases. Because it's like when I first started out, I was doing them as part of roundtable interviews. So I never gave myself any credit, even if one of the questions was mine. It just didn't feel as personal. And then I was doing a bunch of sit down print interviews. I guess I would probably say covering one of my first Tribeca film festivals, because it was when I was working for Shakya and I was basically their entire video team. I would run around by myself with like a little camcorder, and I just did one interview after the next, and it was the first opportunity I had to do real long form conversations with movies, and not just like movies that were guaranteed releases, but movies where I felt like the work I was doing was truly helping it get out there.
Yeah.
I feel like that was the moment where like I could feel myself hitting a stride, and I could feel how much I was able to do by myself with a limited amount of equipment and in a limited amount of time. I guess
that's a big moment. I think it's fascinating. Those things that shift our entire lives. We wake up one day and something happens, and holy shit.
I'm gonna keep thinking about that though, Coy. Like I'm gonna come back to you with a very specific interview soon. I'm determined to find it. Caleb's just chiming in here to give us some love, as he always does every Saturday. Caleb, thank you again. Can't wait to see you on Slack soon. Let's see what other questions we got here. All right, I'm scrolling. I feel like I missed so much. Oh, Steven gets a kick out of when I curse. I feel like I've just been a little more relaxed now that I'm in my own space. Like I don't feel like I follow the same rules, or it's like I set the rules so I can do whatever I want. Coy, I have a question for you. What's the most recent thing you watched that you really like? Do you have any recommendations for people?
Ooh, my biggest surprise, and I really liked it. High Fidelity on Hulu is incredible.
I need to watch that.
I knew I had a crush on Zoe Kravitz, but I was unprepared for the amount of like space she's taken up in my brain since watching High Fidelity. Like I have the biggest crush I've had on someone I don't know since I watched A Knight's Tale with Shannon Sossaman, and I was 11 or 13 then. Like I've got like a teen crush on Zoe Kravitz because of High Fidelity that is like frankly inappropriate. Like I love her. And she's also in Mad Max Fury Road, so she's taken up more landscape because I've been thinking
very good.
But like the show makes you reminisce on the original High Fidelity experience. It reminds you of what your life was like then. It's a nostalgia for like dating. It's got a great flavor for the music and the album scene. She's delightful. It's everything you liked about the movie, but I think better. And it's hard to improve upon a classic like that.
Yeah. Now I have questions for you. One, who was your very first movie or TV crush?
Star from Lost Boys. I love Star so much, that awesome 80s hair, and she's like just a sexy vampire. Like she's just like, that whole movie is just so sexy. And then second is A Knight's Tale, which is probably the sexiest cast ever assembled. Like Alan Tudyk, Paul Bettany, Heath Ledger, Shannon Sossaman, Rufus Sewell, even the assistant to Shannon Sossaman is the badass girl from Breaking Bad. Like they just cast the sexiest 90s actors and then put them in 2001 Masterpiece with Bowie. And like, I think that was probably my biggest, like, oh, everyone can be hot awakening ever. So I think A Knight's Tale was confusing for me. And then Shannon Sossaman, like, and the craziest thing about that is I didn't think I had a type until High Fidelity, when I realized, like, my crushes are Shannon Sossaman, Halsey, Zoe Kravitz, and Alana from Saga. And those are all very similar women, and I had no idea. So, like, as recently as a month ago, I realized I had a type.
I'm glad you're able to discover your type through movies.
High Fidelity, it's a game changer. It's real good.
I think I'd have to go. I think this happened for me at a similar time, so I'm going to give two guys the honor here. Devon Sawa, which is like the most traditional 90s kid thing to say, but I really loved Now and Then and Little Giants. so much.
Oh yeah.
Little Giants in particular was an obsession. Like Little Giants, I still have the VHS tape in a closet back there, and that was one of those ones that just like stayed in the player and was just like rewound and restarted and rewound and restarted. The other one is Ethan Embry. So it was All I Want for Christmas when he was like itty bitty. It's a good Christmas movie. And
I don't know that movie.
And Thora Birch is in it. He's like a little itty bitty kid in that one. But the ones that really solidified him in Crush Zone were Empire Records, which I was also hardcore obsessed with that movie. And then the other one is Can't Hardly Wait. And I actually have both CD soundtracks sitting just over there to the side. They are out of reach right now, but they are right there.
You are gonna love High Fidelity. I Can't Hardly Wait, and those are both like that's that vein.
I'm mad at Hulu right now, though. Like some of the folks out there know this issue that I have, especially the people who are in the Patreon Slack. But okay, I put on Normal People the other week, and Normal People is like they're like 20 to 30-minute episodes, and you know how if you're on the commercial tier, ads pop up every so often. That's fine. Like we purposely got that tier of Hulu because we're fine with dealing with a couple of ads and whatever. The problem is I think there is a glitch in their ad system where the ads are cutting in mid-scene. So they're ruining a moment. But then even worse, when the show comes back, I am convinced that it's coming back to the next scene. Like I'm convinced that the show is returning when the ad was meant to end and it's coming in too early. So I'm missing pivotal moments of the show. So I hear it's a wonderful show, but I'm mad and I've completely stopped watching it. And I refuse to pay for the next tier up because your ad system is forcing me to.
Yeah, that you can't break something and then expect to be paid more for it.
Sweating over this issue right now.
That's an issue. I get it. And like we care about content. That's vital. That's a very important thing. I know.
So it's like now I want to watch High Fidelity, but like, can I?
I think movie-wise, Sleeping with Other People. I've never seen it until Sleeping with Other People is really, really good. And like, I've watched a lot of really good stuff, but that was one of the surprising ones. I expected to be like, and then it was really good.
I quite like that movie. I should revisit that. We have another super chat from Lighthammer 66. I don't have a question. Just wanted to show some love. I appreciate you, Lighthammer. Thank you. Thank you so much. I have just started Creepshow because we had Greg Nicotero on Witching Hour recently. And Creepshow, if you have Shudder, it's frustrating because I love Shudder. A lot of people who like follow my work, they have Shudder too. But like, I want Shudder to be bigger. It feels like shows like Creepshow, and of course everyone knows I'm obsessed with Channel Zero. They should be bigger than they are, but it's like you've got like the Netflix Disney Plus audience, and then you've got the Shudder audience. And I know that's probably good enough for Shudder right now, but I want Shudder to be bigger. They have such a good catalog of stuff that I feel like it just like doesn't have the same reach. So shows like
if it helps, I've only heard good things. Like if it helps, Shudder has the best consistency of hype. Like Disney Plus, people get mad at for not having this, and Netflix is like, you're always changing. Shudder is like, yo, I've got Shudder, and it's like I've only heard 10s, so at least the people there are like.
Seriously, if you go through the Shudder library, you could feel the love that was put into curating it. I don't know. It looks to me like it was done with such care, with not only honoring like classics that you want access to, but even things that are like super old and flew under the radar. And Shudder wants to give them the time and the spotlight that they once deserved back in the day. And then on top of that, they're picking up new things. I think they're just doing so well. They're so cool.
Do you have Letterboxd, the app?
I keep meaning to, but I think it's because I feel like I would have to do too much, backtracking, and I find that
because it's by year, by actor, by whatever. It's like IMDb at your fingers, but I did 2,000 reviews in less than 3 days because I couldn't sleep. So I have 2,010 reviews on there, and I've only opened it 3 times, and I have 2,010 reviews on there. It's just really simple, so you can just scroll star, and then it's really cool to look back at like. Oh yeah, I haven't typed up reviews.
So it's only star ratings.
You can write a review if you want. Like it's an option. but I just like seeing how many movies I miss per year, and it you can black out the posters for what you've seen, so then you can look at a year and be like, I missed these movies, and I can track them back down. So it's helping me find those like little ones, like you're talking about, those hidden gems, and it's rad. I like it.
You're making me open to this. Maybe that, so, like, if you knew what my to-do list was right now, between like better organizing my hard drives at home. Like, I've been cleaning out like because I'm in my childhood home. I've been cleaning out the closet and like getting rid of old clothes. Like, I'm just trying. Like, there's so many things that I'm like, I should be doing all of this right now, and I'm like, I don't have time for half of it.
I've been so busy. So this is my 66th day, and I've taken 5 days off total. 2 weeks ago, I took a weekend off because I was like, you haven't taken a weekend off in quarantine. Everyone else is bored. So I finally took a weekend off to watch movies, and I realized like I haven't stopped. So I totally get it. It's been like, and everything feels like 20% harder because I just want to relax and sit. So it's like an extra effort to do anything. So I'm trying to take 1 day off a week now. So tomorrow's my day off. I'm very excited.
Okay.
But it's really hard to like look at your to-do list and know that you should be doing stuff when you're taking a day off. And I get it. This is chaos.
I should probably, like specify a day off and legit not do anything. But I feel like even when I'm having a day off, I still do something that is, like work adjacent.
If I still watch and log movies and I still work out, but at least those are like for me. Like those are my movies, not work movies.
Working out is very important. So I've already kept you longer than I told you I would, but I don't want to leave without talking about Schmodown.
Oh, yes.
Because this is a scary big deal for me. But you're making me more confident.
Everyone has asked me, hey, so you wanted Perri, and like she's only done exhibition recently. Why? And I said, because the only thing that made Perri nervous about the Schmodown was because she gets nervous in the matches and doesn't know how she do. And I'm not about the matches in the Schmodown. I'm about people having fun. Like, I literally recruited you and Kevin Smith because I want to show the two of you how much fun you can have. Someone asked me the other day, and this is so weird to me. Someone asked me why Kevin Smith, and I said because he's given me so much that this is something I can give to him because it's a soapbox he can stand on competitively. Kevin's really competitive when he gets to be, and he likes to talk about pop culture. This gives him that, but like as a sport, and it's the same for you. You love talking about this stuff. You love being like in the movie space, but it's doing it as a task. And you and I are both like, we like to run. We like to be object oriented. So this is movie love as a task. Yeah. It's your shit. You just have it in your head.
Yeah, I like that. That's the mentality that I need. And I think that's what kind of pushed me out before. I also think I had a difficult run where it was like my first competitive team match. Like it was like a shocking win. And I think it was because, luck happened to be in our favor, or the wheel or whatever. And then it was just such like a drastic downhill experience from there. It's like we started on the highest high possible, and then we just crashed and burned. But it's
I joined. They thought I'd be like I was in movie fights because I'm an incredible movie fighter because I'm really good at arguing. Like I don't remember rapid facts, but I should have. If I didn't have a soul, I'd be a lawyer right now, and I wouldn't be living like I do. I'd be so rich and so unhappy and have lots of drug problems, but I'd be rich. But like I can argue end of days. So Harloff was like, "This is my new guy. He's gonna kill it at the Schmodown." And then I got in there and I was like, why would I know the name of the horse in Lord of the Rings? What's wrong with you people? And like, I wasn't good at the rapid retention thing. So like, it had been pitched to me as something I'd be really great at. So I went from like, this is my dream to, oh, what have I done? And then I beat Mike Kalinowski, and Mike Kalinowski was their golden boy. And I beat him. So expectations were high again. So I never got the fun part of winning without it being like, you better be good at this. So that's what I've wanted to make my faction is there's no pressure for me to win because I want you to have the thing I didn't get, which is the fun.
And it's like, I feel like that's pretty much exactly what I need. I need to make sure that as I play, I'm prioritizing the fun above all else. Cause it's like, I know what kind of player I am. I have like weird teeny little sections where I know an extreme amount, like a stupid amount of information. But then there's major gaps, and there's major gaps in areas that I think I should know more about, but I don't. And I just don't retain that information. It's
And
like,
that's what I'm gonna recommend is like we look at those gaps and we decide what are gaps that have the ability to fill them in and what aren't. And the ones that aren't, we won't like. We missed 2 points. We missed 2 points.
okay. It's like, I was watching that show the other day. So
Mm-hmm.
I do think that Hayley and I don't really overlap much at all. So I think that's a good thing because I legit think
I don't either.
even though we're both huge horror fans, her expertise in horror is and her taste for that matter. Like we overlap on movies that we love all the time, but I just think her taste lies somewhere else than mine does. And even beyond horror, I think her strongest skills are in other genres than mine.
I totally agree. And people keep saying like, if you put them together, it's just going to be horror. And I was like, no. I like because our movie like you and I did movie talk with Hayley a lot of the time, and the conversation never felt redundant. And that's what's important to me is in conversation we didn't have the same favorites, we didn't dive into the same things. So I know we have that like separation. And with the faction the way it is, we have so many powerhouse people in different categories. I know I can be like, hey, Perri and Hayley, talk to blankety blank, and they'll tell you what about blankety blank. Like our overall faction is so strong. I'm not worried about anything. And I want to win, but it's not the goal. I want my people to enjoy their lives. We're all trapped and dying.
I'm so excited to have fun. Like
that's what we're about.
I'm so excited to be able to like take my mind off of negative things and just to have fun and freaking play a game. And I am very competitive and I like to win, but I also think that the combination of having fun and having the experience to become a better player is going to be the combination that means more to me than an actual win.
We're not doing Moneyball. I'm not looking at records. I'm not like adjusting people by their skill set. I want the people that I want to spend time with because we only have so many hours in the day. I will never again have May 16th, 2020. This day is gone forever once I go to bed. And I wanted to spend an hour with you today. I want to spend time with you in the Schmodown because like you're a person whose company I enjoy. I'm not going to recruit someone that I have to be like, why do I have to text this person on purpose? Like I'm not going to do that for a point. Because at the end of the day, we're all 2 weeks from one grocery trip from dying. We could all go out tomorrow, go to the grocery store, get COVID, fucking dead. So, like, I'm not going to waste my time. So, I think having fun is what Americans forgot we're meant to do.
I wouldn't express it as morbidly as you just did, but, like, I fully agree. It's just, I mean, you're right. This is the only May 16th we get, and I want to use every single minute of it to the fullest and do stuff I love. And I love talking to you, Coy. So, this also can't be the only time you come on this channel. And if, I don't know, I shouldn't put this offer without knowing what your beer pong skills are like, but we are considering virtual beer pong too. So if that is of interest, we should talk.
I was always more of a King's Cup guy because I like the trivia aspect, but
we could do that too. I mean, we could just,
that would be more like this. It'd be more like a conversation mixed with drinking, which is my shit.
Okay. Wait. Just to make sure I'm on the same page. King's Cup is like the King's Cup in the middle and the cards are all around it and each card means a different thing, right?
Yeah, because you get to know the person you're playing with or people you're playing with better. And it's like
I think we play King's Cup a different way.
So mine is like 2s for you, 3s for me, 4s for floor, 5s for guys, 6 for So okay. And then like Never Have I Ever comes up.
Yes.
Make a rule.
And
so
like
that's how you get to know people.
And like Queen for questions and stuff. Okay. Waterfalls. I remember all this stuff.
Yes. So like for me that was always fun because like those questions never come up in regular life, but when you're fucking 3 sheets to the wind to 5 sheets to the wind, you learn some shit.
Wait. Travis brings up an interesting thing that we'd have to solve. How would you mix all the booze?
What I would do is you'd have one deck of 52 cards and you'd spread it. And then once one card got taken out, you'd have to take that out of the deck. So the game would take a while. That way there wasn't any of that badness. But what I would do.
Well, are you picturing it where each player has a different card?
Yeah, because you have to pull a card to go.
So what if one player was like the game master and there was one deck of cards that one person and like you could, it would be obnoxious if like you're making them circle around forever, but like you would dictate what card they pick.
I like that. Like a game master making like that's out of the deck. But with drinking, you'd have to have 3 different alcohols that you'd have to mix for King's Cup, and you'd have that in your house. Like that way, one person doesn't just go like, here, I got just the whiskey. No, there's suffering in this game.
I feel like Like most people have beer, whiskey, and wine.
Oh, yeah, that'd be awful. But yeah, that
Those
is
sound awful.
I've been on a schnapps and whiskey kick, not together, but like I've been drinking a lot of like hot chocolate and schnapps is my shit, and it's called a peppermint patty. It's delightful.
All right.
So I've been drinking those. So I'd have like a schnapps whiskey combo, which sounds like actually dying.
No, it doesn't sound very appealing to me. But if you say the hot chocolate thing is that good, maybe I'll at least try it.
It's also like $5 schnapps because I grew up in Lowell, Mass. So it's like the cheapest schnapps. It's like hobo schnapps.
All I've drank this entire time is Blue Moon. Like I haven't even cracked open a bottle of Prosecco, which is very unlike me.
My word. Every Saturday, me and my Boston friends, we do a movie and we Zoom. So we do movie nights together, me and my Boston folks. So we've done a different beer with every movie. So tonight we're watching Clue, and it's Clue and Soko. So I'm terrified.
That
I didn't pick the booze.
That brings me back to like my high school days. I don't know why that was the cool thing to drink in high school.
No, I haven't touched it since college, and I think the mistake was I said that in conversation, so someone remembered, and now they're bringing it back. Because even when I smell Soko, I get that like, oh, I drank too much rumblies.
Yeah, no, I get that from that. I could make a long list of things. Jaeger. Do you remember our trip to Vegas?
Oh God! Remember our car bombs?
That was a night. That was a fun night.
We walked all the way to Old Vegas from New Vegas.
We had the best time that night. And that night went on. That night felt like the best never-ending night.
We were out till like 5 a.m. and like I got to see Party Thad.
Oh my God, that was so much fun. Oh, I can't wait until we can have in-person fun again, but at least this is an option, and we could figure out a drinking game type thing to do, and you can come on the Marriott Hour. We'll have a good time.
I am so in, and I'm starting one called Craft Beer and Comic Books, so CBCB, and we'll like discuss comics while getting drunker, so people that don't know comics can find a way in. So I'll let you know once I start.
All right,
so I think it'd be fun to like help people learn the world that don't know it.
I'm totally in. Before we let you go, though, tell everyone where they can find everything you're working on right now. You got a lot of stuff.
I have a new YouTube, brand new. I just started. So it's here on YouTube where you're watching this. So hunt me down at my name, and then Twitter and Instagram. I'm also theoretically, once the world opens back up, doing more comic book shopping. People keep asking. So I figure while I'm talking to Perri, I should tell you it will happen once we can go in those stores. And then I've got a podcast called Coycast. We just had Jim Starlin on, the creator of Thanos, came on my podcast. It was so cool. And then on Thursdays, I go through my collection of stuff. So I'm a comic book guy. So I go through my long boxes. I'm going through my Blu-rays this week. So we've got Coycast, Coy Cubed, and Coylection, because I'm a narcissist. So you can tune into any of that wherever podcasts and YouTubes are sold.
I think you should have a 24-hour Spidey live cam on your channel.
You know what? Let's end it with some Spidey love, because he is the absolute.
Oh my God! I hope he does what he did before. Look, wait! Show everybody how much Spidey loves you. Oh, he's sleeping.
So this is Spidey's little tube. Hi, buddy. Okay, let's see if he lets me love on him. Oh, there he goes.
He's so happy you're there.
This is my boy. I love him so much.
Oh, he's the cutest thing.
Oops, I'm not good at this angle.
You're doing a pretty good job right now. I'm impressed.
So Spidey sleeps in here.
Your pajama pants are A+ right now. I love him.
He is the best. Next time I'll have Spidey in lap like Dewey was, and we'll actually be able to show the impossible snuggleability of that cat. But for now, we have this Spidey.
Oh, God, and all your pillow friends. All right, before we say goodbye, we have Patreon shout-outs to give to Seth and Neil. Seth, I know I'm talking to you in a little bit. I can't wait to catch up. I hope you guys are doing well. And more Patreon shout-outs go to Ian, Steven, and Caleb. Caleb, you're back on the show again. Coy, these 5 guys are like the coolest. I love my Patreon community so much, and I love that we have our Slack channel. We sit in Slack and we just talk about movies and television and music and sports all day. It's like
that's amazing. Oh, I took your advice. I finally got a Patreon.
Yeah,
you told me like a year ago in Hawaii, and I love my Discord. It's like a little comic book store. We all just literally within 2 weeks, one of the patrons had mailed another patron comics they couldn't get in their country because they were in Mexico and there's no Comixology. They mailed them from their own collection comic books, and it blew my mind.
I can't even express how happy that type of stuff happening in Patreon makes me. It's like not even like I still can't quite compute the fact that folks want to support us doing the thing that we love, but it's also the community that it builds. It's I don't know if all of this stuff could connect two people who never would have known each other otherwise. Like that freaking makes my day.
And that's the beauty of fandom. That's the beauty of what we do. And that's the beauty of connecting with people. And that's why long form interviews are more fun than 4 minutes, because you get to connect to people. It all comes back.
A good conclusion for this episode of my Saturday live stream with the one and only Coy. I'm so happy to see your face. You better come back soon, okay?
100%. This was a blast. Even at 9 a.m, you're the only person I'd wake up before like comfortably 10-4.
I feel so honored. I hope you have a good day and you stay safe out there. Hopefully I will see you soon. And to everybody watching, thank you for being here. Tune in next week for more live streams. Keep an eye on the channel for more movie and TV reviews, all that good stuff. Doing videos. We have a lot of fun over here. See you guys soon.